So Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Osai, I'm joined by Alana Rizzotti. We practiced her name and I still didn't want to mess it up. And John Gonzalez, a middle school and a high school teacher in our pilot classrooms that we have. So we're going to talk a little bit about next century learning tonight. Just a little bit of background. This referendum is connected to our strategic plan and our mission about making wonderful learning environments that contribute to learning for all ages, not just during the school day, but beyond the school day as well, and having a safe and nurturing environment for kids to learn in meaningful ways in a variety of experiences that help prepare them for college and the workplace after they leave our schools. So in Strategy 4, we talk about ensuring that our facilities are consistent with the needs of our learners and the communities. And right now, our learning spaces are a little dated. They're a little traditional. They don't offer us a lot of flexibility or a lot of opportunities for students to have choices about where they sit or how they engage with other students during their learning opportunities. So the teachers are going to share more about how they're using it in their classrooms right now during this school year. And when the referendum passes, we will be adding more of these pilot classrooms, these next generation classrooms for students. It's important for us to be talking about this. I think, Sarah, if I got this right, 29 days till we have election day. And our enrollment is increasing. You just had an enrollment report from the superintendent. Our facilities, we know, are well loved and well cared for and limiting in the way that they are configured right now. So that explains why we need some flexible learning spaces. Technology, what Mr. Marble was just talking about, we need the infrastructure to support learning and flexible learning. So kids can use a wide variety of devices in different spaces and use those devices to enhance their learning. We like to say that learning leads the way for how we provide learning tools for students, and devices are part of those learning tools. And we also want our schools to be community centers for after school, evening and weekend gathering places. And those are opportunities for learning too. Learning takes place outside of the school day in many situations, not just between 8 and 4, Monday through Friday. On November 11th, when we go to the polls, there'll be 2 questions for us to address. The first question is the bond referendum for $100.9 million, which does have a $12 a month tax impact on the average $250,000 home in St. Louis Park. The other question is for our operating levy. It's just a renewal question. It's $2,079.99 annually per pupil. There's no tax impact for that because it's already something that we receive. It's just a renewal of that bond to help us continue our work. I'm sure you don't want to hear anything more from me, so I'm going to turn it over to Elena, and she's going to talk to you about some amazing learning opportunities happening at the middle school.
Okay, so I am a 3rd year math teacher at the middle school. Right now I am teaching 3 sections of Standard Math 8 and then 2 sections of geometry. I share this classroom actually with a French teacher. So while not necessarily the most expected collaboration, we definitely have been making it work. The benefit of this is that we are seeing probably about 240 students a day in this classroom. Our French teacher teaches 5 sections of French out of this classroom, and then I teach 4 sections of math. I think one of the best things, and you can kind of see in these pictures, is just the options that students now have. We have some hokey stools, and we've seen those in some other classrooms, but the students definitely like that. We also have the ergonomic chairs, which students do find to be very comfortable. We also, these are probably the most popular item in our new classroom, it's an orange swivel desk, and it allows students to not only move the desk fairly easily, it's on wheels, but they can also kind of adjust that table to where they need it for writing or for test taking. I've noticed that this in particular is especially beneficial to our students who just need that little extra movement while learning. When we first got them, I thought it would be extremely distracting for me as a teacher. But it's really not. I think all of the students that take advantage of that have been using them very maturely, very responsibly. And I've been really happy kind of with the outcome and the benefits that the students have had with that. You'll also notice, I think that might be on, yeah, in this lower picture, we have some comfortable seating, which again, I was not necessarily a huge supporter of in the beginning, but I have found that students really like that. It's a little bit of a privilege almost for students to use that, and so if they're finishing their work early or they've been really engaged in a lesson, I really like that as a little bit of a reward for students to get to go work in that space. We have some little tables that can pull right up to that comfortable seating, and as you can see, 3 middle schoolers fit just fine. I don't know about the high school, but at the middle school age, we can get about 3 in there, and they're pretty comfortable. We have some high top tables, more cafe style, that students really like. And for a crowded classroom, I have two classes at right around 32 students. It's really nice for me to have that differentiation in height level so that my students in the back can see better versus it all being one level in a more traditional setting. Other than that, let's see, I think that's about all I have. So I'm more than happy to answer any questions, but for me, it's been a really positive experience so far.
Bruce? Thank you for that input. I'm a big proponent of this change. And I do think it's good for the teachers. I do think it's good for the kids. And we'd really like to hear from the kids, too. If you either bring some quotes in or bring some of the kids along. Again, this hour, they're all doing their homework, so
Absolutely.
I don't want to drag them in. But the fact is, we'd really like to hear from them, too, because we're about to make a significant investment in this, and it really is good for them. And I expect to see them all come out of middle school math majors.
Yes, me too, me too. Thank you so much.
Chad, I had one question for you. I see that we're more into the whiteboards,
Yes.
moving away from the smart boards into the whiteboards now.
Yes, let me just go back maybe just a touch. So this is maybe a better picture to look at. So 3 walls should be whiteboard. Right now, it is my understanding that they are waiting for that backboard to be painted with the whiteboard paint. Unfortunately, you can't see it, but the other 2 walls are all whiteboards, and it's really nice, especially for math. I have kids doing problems on that board all day, and especially some of our kids who don't necessarily want to write down their work. I am more than happy if they will put it on the board for me, show me that they have some understanding. So I think that's a really fun way to kind of engage students. Also with that whiteboard, going back to our RTI time, our go time, students love to come to math intervention now. They are so excited to get to write on these whiteboards and, show me what they've learned and what they're working on. So that's been a real positive thing as well.
This is just a statement. That's interesting to see and to hear, because that was a concern of ours, was if we do all these rooms, if they do all look the same, in another 5-10 years, they would be aged and probably not used as we intended them to be used, much like when we went with the smart boards 10 years ago, 9 years ago. Those aren't where we're at today, right? So I like seeing that. And it also probably tells us that not all the classrooms can be the same way, because they're not all going to be utilized the same way. So thank you.
You know what, and I'm just going to follow up on that. The comment is, well, first of all, we're building new classrooms in the middle school and the high school is the proposal with the bond referendum, and so any new classroom is going to be sort of outfitted that way. And we do have money to do classrooms as we go, but that was a discussion item we had. Should we do as many of these classrooms? And what we heard is it may be utilized differently, technology will change, so if we kind of do it over time, we're going to be better served, which is kind of our philosophy with technology, and I think that's proven out. If we did all smart boards, maybe they're not going to be as effective, but we've done smart boards in a number of classrooms, not all of them. We've given out some iPads, but not all of them, so I think it's kind of proven that the way we've gone about our technology seems to make sense for our educators, where we're not just locked into one sort of technology. We're adopting several, because different teachers are going to have different uses for it. So I just also want to just make that connection too with how the referendum will impact this. So And I'm pleased also to hear that you were actually a skeptic going in, and it has borne out to be in your, valuable. I mean, kids are different sizes. If we have, it's kind of nice to be able to go into a class where they're actually going to be comfortable and maybe excited to have a new piece of furniture, and I think that just helps and promotes learning. I mean, I don't know if you feel the same way, but if they come in excited to be in a classroom where it's not your desk that's one size fits all, that can make a difference on how the classroom is. So, good.
I'm John Gonzalez. I teach here at the high school, 9th grade and one section of 12th grade. Specifically in my classroom, our community space, we study civics, and we will be studying econ later, and currently with the 12th grade class, so much bigger or larger students, world religions. What you see right here is kind of an exit slip written by a student as students were exiting the classroom, kind of just like in passing as a shouting out to the prompt, what's different about this space and helps you be a better learner, or just something to that. And you can see here mostly positive, and there's one that says kind of squished, right? So depending on the size of the classroom, but for the most part, you're seeing things that you're discussing in hopes with the referendum, with tech and open, familiar, comfortable, lit, safe, definitely. Here are some quotes from students that I was able to get today. Just speaking to the general comfort, making it easier for students to learn. Honestly, I'm a big proponent of modern technology in classrooms and flexible seating. And when a student or a group of students can attest to a space that feels like a community, he, she, they, the students can take off that armor, right? So there's something about the aesthetic, not only the aesthetic, but the functionality, so that balance that really does create kind of a new and exciting atmosphere. Here's another student. Makes it feel less boring, I guess. But the argument is good. I mean, what if you outfitted and retrofitted every single classroom like this? It might be kind of boring, and I guess I don't really know. Again, a community space. They feel older because they don't have to sit at desks specifically. And there are a variety of screens. In the classroom that I'm in, there are 3 Bluetooth screens, 2 smaller LGs and 1 bigger one, kind of central, that do allow students to have a greater probability of having access to the content with a variety of vantage points. And that can typically be a problem in classrooms when you're having to look around people. But kind of no matter where you are in this classroom, and I've tried it out by sitting in different positions in the classroom and kind of scoping out not only the TV screens, but also the 2 whiteboard walls that we do have, so that students can, so I'm sure that students can see from wherever they are. I call it kind of a 360-degree view. Again, it's cool, it's neat, it makes them feel more comfortable. Again, reiterating the TV screens and the tech. And I loved what they said here. It looks more like 2017, right? And so we're talking about the 4 R's in our classroom all the time, and realness and relevance are definitely 2 of those big ones. Why not, right? So it's very real to them and is very relevant to them. Right here, what you're seeing is students had just broken the classroom after much practice into Socratic seminar structure, where we have 2 tables in the middle, and everybody kind of goes to the outside. And during this process, students in the middle engage in conversation, while the students in the outside engage in a back channel discussion digitally, using the Chromebooks or the iPads or whatever we have via Schoology. But right here, they're able to quickly transition the room not only into Socratic, but at the conclusion of this process, they transition it back. Right here is Socratic taking place, and you can see the whiteboard wall where students have actually kind of in their own free time, speaking of just not, education actually continues beyond the classroom day. Students kind of in transition from their 5th period into the lunch stayed and were hanging out and got excited about writing on the wall, and they ended up writing out their entire family tree. And this was a 2-day process where students kind of came back in and were like, I messed something up. I need to add to this. I need to supplement this, which is pretty cool to see. Here you see a variety of seating again. So you got the coffee-style tables with the lower tables with kind of the wheelie chairs, kind of ergonomic friendly, as well as with we had 2 couches in that room. We do have assigned seating in our room, so they don't have choice at this point, but it will change. Again, the flexible seating that can be seen. Another vantage point as well. For the most part, we have a lot of fun in that classroom, but we do have our challenges, and the rigor is very present. So it is an honor to be in this classroom space, and it would be awesome to see more like it come into the high school. And I think it does increase the probability of learning and just that ease of access to content and whatnot. So thank you. Do you have any questions, or what questions do you have?
So it was interesting in looking at your classroom in that all the tables are pretty much the same level, correct?
Mm-hmm. That is correct.
Does that work better for the curriculum that you're delivering, or would you rather have some variety in height like the Bart's school height ones?
I do like the variety. It is pretty well balanced, but like you're saying, the majority of classrooms are kind of that 2-person lower end. It would be interesting to see what would happen with specifically some of those personal desks with rolly chairs with desks on them. Those are really cool. But it is interesting to see for the 9th graders specifically, these high tops for some have been a kind of a challenge to sit in. Because they might be shorter, and so then that's a conversation that I have to have with my student, and or just kind of an awareness. I don't know that's something that I track going into seating charts, but it's definitely something I take into consideration. But I definitely get the variety of students that sit kind of where they're comfortable. So in Socratic, they have choice as to where they get to sit. Versus during the, when they come in for a regular class in attendance. And students will navigate naturally or they will go to places in the classroom that they're more comfortable. So if they like the couch, they'll go to the couch. If they're comfortable standing and or want to kind of half sit, half lean, half stand, they'll go to these high tops, which is pretty cool. So I think right now we have the perfect amount in variety of seating, but it would be interesting to see what some more high tables and seating would do. There, you're good.
So when I was looking through the pictures, I saw a variety of devices, mostly laptops. So I was wondering if you could speak to what you see in the class, what's loaned out by the school versus what kids bring in, how they're accessing information or using that device in your class.
Great question. So the technology that we have specifically in our social studies department hallway and potentially on reserve are Chromebooks, iPads, and we have computer labs. Their personal devices include their cell phones, some tablets, and personal laptops or computers. Students they know that in our classroom because it's been trained and it's been discussed heavily to use the resources and as tools as compared to as distraction. But I do notice every now and then in transition, students will be on social media and, they're in texting, and there'll be times when I have to redirect. But for the most part, the expectation is clear. And for the most part, we do not have an issue with uses of tech in that way. And I'm pretty proud of the students and what they're able to handle. and meeting expectation.
Thank you.
Bruce?
I just really appreciate the quotes from the kids, especially ninth graders. And the one in particular, I feel like I am an older person because I don't have to sit at desks. Now, there may be good reasons in middle school to sit kids, but they've come through that. In the early years, sometimes there's a lot more flexibility, but then when you hit middle school, we tend to regiment a lot more. And again, there may be good reasons for that, but at the same time, when they feel older, when they feel like they're being treated as more mature people, they often act that way. And it's great to see ninth graders writing about that.
I agree.
Do you find yourself, because you have that room, like doing some of your preparation and how can I utilize that, the space? And it's one of the big things we're promoting is flexible learning space. So I just want to know how that affects you and how you teach.
Absolutely. So, I mean, it affects how what is available to me affects how I'm teaching there, knowing I don't have a projector that I can freeze, versus my tech that I do have. What happens is the Bluetooth devices or receivers on the TVs connect directly to the output that's plugged directly into my computer, and so I can't change screens. So I have to be more prepped, more ready to go. If you know what I mean, and I have to be more precise in my transitions with, so professionally speaking. So with things like attendance, I mean, I have to be on because there isn't a lot of time for that kind of transition. So it requires a lot of me professionally. But prep-wise, I mean, I find myself in there playing. I mean, I draw on the walls after school. And like I said, I sit in all of the different seats and I try to put myself into my students' shoes and so that I'm better able to empathize with them. For example, I made a point to sit in in the variety of seats that were available before students even came. So I would know kind of how it worked. In those chairs, what are they called? The stools that are the hokey stools. What a name! The hokey stools themselves are, they're pretty they're tipsy-turvy, and I was sitting in them, and I was kind of falling over at times, and I was like, okay, note this because like when a student does fall over, I'm not gonna hold them I'm not gonna hold it against them because that's the design. I play a lot in there, and I try to design my lessons while I'm in that space specifically.
Well, thanks so much for coming tonight and sharing and how the referendum will directly affect our students by getting new rooms and design classrooms with some of the new furniture and technology. So thank you.
I want to say a special thank you to both John and Alina because they are new teachers to St. Louis Park. We are so lucky to have them.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Just a couple of notes for the public. We have a Twitter Town Hall coming up tomorrow, so please join us for Twitter Town Hall. We'll be talking about all things referendum, answering questions. There's lots of information on our website. There's email and Facebook options, and Election Day is 29 days away. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Carrie. Appreciate it.